ओम ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्री गुरुं परमानंदम वंदे। श्री गुरु नहीं, कौन है? अभी क्लास है, क्लास के टाइम डिस्टर्ब मत कीजिए, ठीक है? आधा घंटा के बाद। हाँ, 11 बजे चाहिए। नहीं, गलत बता दिया, 11 बजे क्लास है, ठीक है? बाद में क्लास के बाद बंद करके जाइए, बंद करके जाइए। So, what happens when the staff changes, new people, new setup? So the person to get acquainted also difficult. So I have to accommodate. Okay. Sri Gurum Paramanandam Vande Swananda Vigraham Yasya Sanidhyamadrena Chidanandayate Tanu. Verse number 6. Asanam Prana Samrodha Pratyaharascha Dharana Dhyanam Samadhiretani Yogangani Vadanti Sate. As we have been discussing, so the job of yoga is shamanam bhavatapasya. Yogam bhavatapasya shamanam iti. So that means the one, especially bhajataha, the one who seek refuge in yoga, who take refuge in yoga, who commits oneself into yoga. So this yoga becomes remedy for the afflictions of bhavatapa, called worldly existence. And when this is the case, by taking care of both physical and, or you can say both stula sariram and sukshma sariram, both physical and subtle body, gross and subtle body. And in order to introduce that, so he introduces that there are 6 angas of yoga, not 8 angas, okay? So popularly, there are, Ashtanga schools of yoga, everywhere Ashtanga, because from Patanjali Yoga Sutra people pick up. But if you observe, except Patanjali, everybody only talks, all Upanishad talks only Shadhanga. Okay, so it is better to open one school called Sadhanga schools of yoga rather Ashtanga schools of yoga. But the problem will be if you open Sadhanga, what will happen? Who is going to come? Okay, so he says, look, so what are these 6 limbs? Asanam prana samrodha. So it starts with asana. That means it is presupposes that yama, niyama are there. So Patanjali understood, okay, these people are not going to pick up, and especially in coming generations, God knows what is going to happen. Let me introduce yama, niyama, that to abridged version, not complete version that we have seen in details. He put 5, 5, 10, but earlier it was 10, 10, 20. So there are 10 yamas and 10 niyamas, but he put it into 5 plus 5. So here is being said, first is asana. Second one is called prana samrodha. So that means what? Prana samrodha means regulation of prana. In short, what is popularly known as pranayama. Pratyahara cha dharana. Hold on. Pratyahara means withdrawal of senses. Dharana, dwelling upon a given things called concentration. And finally, dhyanam, all of we know, meditation. And the last one would be samadhi. So samadhi means where the person who is meditating means called meditator, object of meditation, and process of meditation becomes one and same. So, in short, complete absorption. That is called samadhi. Sometimes we say very simple way, samaha dhi buddhi. So the avastha, any avastha, any state where the buddhi is same, there is no ups and downs, there is no divisions, there is no duality. Starting with first, there is no ups and downs, then slowly it goes to that. That is called samadhi. Sometimes we have saying colloquially, especially this wife and husband, morning tea. So wife tries to talk something, while having tea or coffee, and husband does not listen to it. Are you in samadhi or what? So every husband, especially with reference to wife's complaint, they prefer to get into samadhi. And but problem is they would like to get into samadhi. But if wife get into samadhi, forget samadhi. If the wife gets into dharana mode, okay, disaster. So only they can get into samadhi. You understand? They have as the birthright. Okay, please. It should be both way. However, joke apart. Now let us look at what is this asana. Because as we start looking at many things, I was also looking at in different places, differently talks also. Yoga Tattva Upanishad also highlights same thing. Says, look, yamascha niyamascha hyasanam pranasayamaham pratyahara dharana cha dhyanam bhru madhyame harim samadhi samatavastha sashtanga yoga uchyate. So this is being talked in Yoga Tattva Upanishad. Because each places do talk differently, but as we discussed in short, that mainly what happened, that yama niyama is already understood. The person must have yama and niyama, do's and don'ts in short. Continuing. Asana anichatavantah yavanto जीवजन्तवः एतेषाम् अखिलान् भेदान् विजानाति महेश्वरः. So the big question comes here is a really good answer you can get. Many people ask the question that look, how many types of asanas are there? Somebody says 80, 90, 100, 200, 1000. But here the beautiful answer comes that asanani chatavantah yavantah jivajantah. So as many as living beings are in existence, that many numbers of asanas exist. Is it clear? As in, that's why very popularly few asanas are, known to us. One is what? Peacock, Mayura asana, Vrishchika asana, Scorpion. All the poisonous fellows comes first, okay? Sarpa asana, Bhujanga asana, you understand? Nauka asana. But here is being said that as many number of jivas are there, individuals beings are there, living beings are there, that many asanas exist. That means innumerous. You cannot count. That's why etesham akhilan veda vijanati maheshwara. So that means if this is the case, only it is known to one person, and he is none other than Maheshwara, Adi Guru, Adinatha here. So to him, only all the differences, Etesam Akhilan Veda, the differences among this in details known to one entity, that entity is none other than Maheshwara. So that means we have very beautiful point to remember that don't get carried away. How many asanas are there? It is innumerable. Number two, that people highlight there are few asanas. Whatever is convenient them. That's why all the yoga that exists in present era is packaged yoga. So each one puts a package and that they highlight, and people they like it, they don't like it, that's their choice. So if anybody says there are 100 asanas, if somebody says no 200, 500, thank you, maybe you are following a package. Please respect that package. I also keep quiet, but don't say that is the ultimate. Okay, if this thing is, but we have a lot of points, but still you can say how many to be followed, what is to be done. So he comes to the point, next verse. Chatura siti lakshana ekekam samudahrutam tatah sivena pithana shodeshanam shatam krutam. Says beautifully. Chatura siti lakshana. So that means 84 lakhs. That means 8.4 millions. Okay. So 84 lakhs means 8.4 millions postures are there. So that means what anything. You understand? Even if also when you do this neck exercise, God know how many, postures you do it. I can share you something based on this. When we were studying, and of course, with due respect, so one person was, eating, and he gained, if I'm right, around 20 to more than 20 kilos. He was very tall, thin, but really became. So somebody asked him, because many times I say, "Hey, what are you doing? At least do some exercise." He says, "Who says I am not doing exercise? Do you know? Every day, minimum 3 times, I am doing half an hour exercise." And seriously, I said, "Why? How you do?" He said, while eating on the floor, sitting and eating, bending down, getting up, bending down, getting up. Don't you think that that is a serious exercise? If I sit on the chair and table, at least I can gulp, okay? I'm sitting on the ground, okay? Half an hour. Sitting in Sikha Sukha asana, not anybody else, any asana. And then bending down, again coming up. So half an hour. So breakfast time at least 15-20 minutes, lunch half an hour, dinner half an hour. So how can you people say that I am not doing exercise? Please respect me. So you can understand this concept from here, okay? So there are 8.4 million postures. But Tataha, from that, Sodeshanam Satam Krutam Pithanam iti. Now, Lord Shiva established only 84. But here will be seeing, if I'm right, 16. Because the reason is why, just 1 minute, let me, because so how he says, okay, let us say, we'll be going to a little differently now. Why we say this? There is a beautiful concept we have that a jiva roaming in different yonis, different wombs, and put together all wombs are 8.4 million gets human birth. So to get human birth is not a joke, which we have seen in Viveka Chudamani. Trayam etat durlabham iti. The first one is Manushya Janma, being born as a human being. Is not a joke. And secondly, there was being highlighted a pulsattum. So not being a man, not necessarily, but being a responsible person who can stand by one's own self. We use the word manly thinking, not womanly thinking. There is a difference between manly thinking and womanly thinking. That's why if a man starts thinking like a woman, it's dangerous. If a woman starts thinking like a man, it's much more dangerous. So we need to see that, the manly thinking, womanly thinking, when we say manly, means the one who is committed, who is responsible. That's why there are many women who were not only part of this teaching tradition, they have contributed. So they are called Rishikas. It's not that only this knowledge was being given to the men. No, not necessarily at all. And the best example, the latest example was what? So when this argument between Adi Shankaracharya and Mandana Mishra happened. Who was the judge? So judge was none other than Bharati Devi, a lady, a woman, that too wife. Don't forget that. So how much learned the person must be to become a judge on the argument? And also what sort of objectivity she had. One side, she knows that Adi Shankaracharya, other side, her own husband. And in this verdict, whatever she gives, she is the only loser. And how she conducted? So that is called manly thinking. However, punsatvam, not present day manly thinking, okay? Busing over, showing over, this is called present era manly thinking. We have to be very careful, okay? So then we will say, oh, she is very manly. What do you mean? So who can have muscles? That's why nowadays, all these women are having less and less dress, okay? It is better sometimes to have no dress, okay? So that once for all chapter is over. Okay, this is my point, okay? However, then last one was that Satpurusha Sansarga is coming across a person who is connected to Sat. These three are Durlabham Iti. And here we say a jiva, an individual, traveling from one womb to another womb. 8.4 million wombs finally take birth as a human being. That's why there is no guarantee that we'll be born again as human. So one can be born as any being, including a stone. That's why Ahalya, the best example, Rishipatni Ahalya was converted into stone. So it is possible. And also stone has life. Also we say stone has got gender, masculine, feminine, and neuter. So here he says, look, if this is the case, that means it is not that easy to follow all these 8.4 millions. But Lord Shiva thought, why not? Let me put everything together. Let people follow only 84. So for each, let us say, lakh, for each 100,000, so only one was being held. Like, for example, say, instead of doing all this here, 30 or 40 or 100 or 200, becomes neck exercise one. This is my version, okay? It is not this version here. That's why anytime any yoga people, what they do, the moment they listen to come to Vedanta class, the first thing is, and I love to see this, okay? No problem. Continuing. आसनेभ्य समस्तेभ्य द्वयमेतत् उदाहृतम् एकं सिद्धासनं प्रोक्तम् द्वितीयं कमलासनम्. Actually, these are the points will be taught in yoga teachers training course. Among all these asanas, he highlights that there are two asanas. Asanabhya, among all the asanas, samastebhya, duyam etat udahutam. These two are significant to be quoted. So the two are most important for all of us. What are they? Ekam Siddhasana. The first one is called Siddhasana, and second one is called Kamalasana. So Kamalasana means what? You know, Padmasana ityartha. Kamala means Padma. So the lotus posture, and other one is called Siddhasana. Of course, is going to talk next verses what is Siddhasana. I would like to say you few points here. Because the purpose of asana is to help you to do the prana samrodha. And when prana samrodha is being done properly, pratyahara becomes outcome. Once pratyahara becomes outcome, dharana becomes easier. Once dharana becomes easier, so you need a disha, you need a direction. So with the help of the Guru, then you get into dhyana mode. Once dhyanam is being practiced, then it is to be understood as a process. In the beginning, you practice meditation. Later on, you understand it is not a practice, but it is a process. Once you understand dhyanam is a process, then only samadhi takes over. So the whole purpose of asanas, nothing but to go to samadhi. Now, in order to be in samadhi, you need to sit down, that to cross-legged. That's why we have a beautiful concept, very nice concept. When any Mahatmas passes away, any sadhus, they pass away, we don't allow them to lie down. Because lying down, Mahatmas are not really accepted unless you are totally, westernized or you are out of tradition. I don't want to name anybody. For example, say, I don't want to say, you can visualize people. So we don't do that. So what generally is being done, the moment the Mahatma passes away, whichever posture may be, I'm sorry, there is some dust allergy. But that is okay. Sorry. So coming to the point. So we make sure that the Mahatma has to be seated in Padmasana. If not happens Padmasana, at least Sukhasana. So we do that very carefully. So saying that, why I'm saying, because we consider that Mahatma, when passes away, that is called Mahasamadhi. So every day he was doing Samadhi, getting into Samadhi, and this is called Mahasamadhi. So if you want to get into Mahasamadhi, so better to be in that Samadhi posture, not lying down. So that's why lying down, if the dead body is, let us say, being taken for a procession, we don't accept it. But there are few Swamijis westernized. They did it. I don't want to get into. If you see some old videos, you will find out which are not accepted. In fact, they destroyed the culture. As you know, there are many incidents I don't want to get into, but this is what is being highlighted. The main concept here is, so that I will take next class, this Siddhasana. The main concept is why these two asanas. We make sure that in any sitting posture, that both the legs have to be crossed. So when we cross both the legs, then only that the link between Ida and Pingala, both left and right, becomes crossed. And then only it becomes easier to regulate one's own prana. That's why when we do namaskar, we do the same thing. That's why technically we always put one leg on the top of other leg. You cannot do namaskar just like that. Even if you do Sashtanga Namaskar. So technically, so always one leg will be going on the top of other. Generally, we put right leg on the top of left as a rule. So to make sure that the circulation or the connection between both the pranas or both this Ida and Pingala are taken care. And here, interestingly, that these two asanas are highly talked because Siddhasana and Padmasana makes a big difference and it has got impact very fast. We will see tomorrow what is Siddhasana. Om Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamidachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, all of you.